Anatomy of skin. Structure of skin. The integumentary system is largest body organ and is composed of skin, hair, nails and glands. The skin is further divided into three layers: epidermis, dermis and subcutaneous tissue. This is the structure of the skin: epidermis, dermis, subcutaneous. Layers of the skin. The skin consists of three layers: epidermis, non-vascular outermost layer, continuously divided cells. Dermis take the largest portion of skin and provides strength and structure. It consists of gland, sebaceous, sweat, hair follicles, blood vessels and nerves ending. Subcutaneous tissue, that is hypodermis, the innermost layer, contain major vascular networks, fat, nerves and lymphatics. So this is the structures of the skin, that is skin, layers of the skin, blood vessels, lymph vessels, hair. Now epidermis. The epidermis is the most superficial layer of the skin. It is thickest of palms of the hand and soles of the feet. There are no blood vessels or nerve endings. Now epidermis. The epidermis is the thin avascular superficial layer of skin, is made up of outer dead cornified portion that serves as protective barrier and a deeper living portion that folds into dermis. Together these layers measures 0.5 to 0.1 millimeter in thickness. The epidermis regenerates with new cells every 28 days. Now layer of epidermis. So layers from deep to superficial: stratum, basal or germinatum, single row of cells attached to dermis, youngest cell; stratum spongium, made up of bundles of protein, resist tension; stratum granulosums, layers of flattened keratinocyte producing keratin; stratum lucidium, layers that is present only on palms and soles; stratum corneum, horny cornified superficial layer. So this is the structures of the layers of epidermis, that is Z keratinocyte, laminar granulose keratinocyte, another is Langerhans cells, melanocyte, that is Merkel cells, tactile disc, sensory neuron, and these are the layers: stratum cornicum, stratum lucidum, stratum granulosum and stratum spinosum and stratum basal. So these are the layers of the epidermis. Now cells of epidermis. The two major types of epidermal cells are melanocyte 5% and keratinocyte 90%. Melanocytes are contained in a deep basal layers, stratum germinatum of the epidermis. They contain melanin, a pigment that gives color to skin and hair and protects the body from damaging ultraviolet UV sunlight. So this is the structure of the epidermis. So these are the structures, that is dead keratinocyte, Langerhans cells, and that is Merkel cell. Sunlight and hormones stimulate the melanism within the melanocyte to increase the production of melanin. The wide range of skin color is caused by the amount of melanin produced from melanin result in darker skin color. So what is melanism? A melanism is an organelle found in animal cells and is the site of synthesis, storage and transport of melanin. So keratocytes are synthesized from epidermal cell in the basal layer. As they mature, keratize, they move into the surface when they flatten and die to form the outer skin layers, stratum corneum. Keratocytes produce a fiber protein, keratin, which is vital to the skin protective barriers function. So, dermis, this is the second layer. The dermis is the layer of skin that lies beneath the epidermis and above the subcutaneous layer. It is the thickest layer of the skin and made up of fibrous and elastic tissues. Thus, it provides strength and flexibility of the skin. Layers. What are the layers of dermis? The dermis is comprised of two layers, the papillary dermis and reticular dermis. The papillary dermis is the more superficial of two and lies just beneath the epidermal junction. It is relatively thin and is made up of loose connective tissue which include capillaries, elastic fibers, reticular fibers and collagen. So this is the structures and layers of the dermis, that is stratum corneums, epidermis, papillary dermis, reticular dermis and hypodermis. So these are the layers comes under the different types of skin layers. This is the another structures of the skin, epidermal and after that dermal papillae and after that blood vessels it is there. So the reticular dermis is a deeper and thicker layer of the dermis which lies above the subcutaneous layer of the skin. It consists dense connective tissues which include blood vessels, lymph vessels, sensory somatic nerve ending, sweat glands and their ducts, hair, erector pili muscles and sebaceous gland. So this is the structures, that is hair shaft, pore, dermal papillae, masseter corpuscles, free nerves ending, reticular layers of dermis, subcutaneous gland, erector pili muscles, sensory nerves fiber, accessory sweat gland and that is Pacinian corpuscles, artery, veins, adipose tissues, hair root, hair follicles. So these are the structures. Now blood vessels, arterioles form a fine networks with capillary branches supplying sweat glands, sebaceous gland, hair follicles and the dermis. So arterioles are supplying the bloods into the skin. These are the structures, that is sweat gland ducts, sebaceous gland and that is arterioles, blood vessels. Now lymph vessels, these form a network throughout the dermis. Lymph is a clear fluid that contains a high concentrations of white blood cells and plays a important role in the immune response. Sensory nerves ending, sensory receptors, specialized nerves ending sensitive to touch, temperature, pressure and pain are widely distributed into the dermis. Sweat gland, Sweat glands are widely distributed throughout the skin and the most numerous in the palms of hand, sole of the feet, axillary and groin. They are composed of epithelial cell. The arthropili, these are the little bundles of smooth muscles fibers attached to the hair follicle. The sebaceous gland, these consist of secretory epithelial cells derived from the same tissue as the hair follicles. They secrete an oily substance, sebum, into the hair follicles and are present in the skin of all parts of the body except palm of hands and soles of feet. They are most numerous in the skin or scalp, face, axillary and groin. Subcutaneous layer. The subcutaneous layer or hypodermis is made up of loose connective tissues and adipose tissues. Collagenous and elastic fibers are continuous with those in dermis. The adipose tissues conserve body heat. The subcutaneous layer contains the major blood vessels that supply the skin with oxygen, nutrients, and immune cells. So this is the structures of hypodermis. This layers also store lipid, regulates temperature and provide shock absorption. Skin appendages. Appendages of the skin include hair, nails, gland sebaceous, apocrine and accrine. Now appendages. What is appendages? Something that attaches to something larger. Your arm is a appendages of your body. Appendages often describe body parts, either or human or animal. It is something that stick out like a finger, tails or leg. Hairs. These are formed by down growth of epidermal cells into the dermis of subcutaneous tissue called hair follicles. At the base of follicles, it is cluster of cells called a bulb. The parts of the hair above the skin is sharp and remainder the root. The color of the hair is genetically determined and depends on the amount of melanin present. So this is the structures of hair follicles: hair shaft, epidermis, subcutaneous, keratinocyte, arthropili muscles, hair bulb, dermal papillae. Now this is also structures: hair root, arthropili, sebaceous gland, hair bulb, dermal blood vessels. Now functions of the hair. Functions of the hair is, that is, head may, that is UV protections, cushion from trauma and insulations, nostril, that is nostril, ear canals and eyelashes, that is prevent entry of foreign materials, body hair, sensory detections. Now coming into the nails. Human nails are equivalent to the claws, horns and hoofs of animals. They are derived from the same cells as epidermal and hair and consist of hard horny keratin, hardened protein. They protect the tips of the finger and toes. The root of nail is embedded in the skin, is covered by the cuticle and form the hemispherical pale area called a lunula. The nail plate is exposed part that has grown out from the germinative zone of the epidermis called the nail bed. This is the structure: edge of the nail, nail plate, lateral nail fold, lunula, cuticles, proximal nail fold, nail root, matrix. Glands. Two major types of glands are associated with the skin: sebaceous and sweat glands. The sebaceous gland secrete sebum which is emptied into the hair follicles. Sebum prevents the skin and hair from becoming dry. Sebum is somewhat bacteriostatic and fungistatic and consists mainly of lipids. The apocrine sweat glands are located in the axillae, breast, areola, umbilical, and anogenital areas, external auditory canals, and eyelids. The apocrine sweat glands are widely distributed over the body except in a few areas such as lips. Function of the skin: protection, regulations of the body, temperature, regulate fluid balance, heat productions, formations of vitamin D, cutaneous sensations, absorptions, excretion. Now, another function is protection. The skin forms relatively waterproof layers that protect the deeper and more delicate structure. As an important non-specific defense mechanisms, it acts as a barrier against invasions of microbes, chemicals, physical agents, for example, mild trauma, ultraviolet light, dehydration. Dermis contain the dermis contain specialized immune cells called Langerhans cells. Regulations of body temperatures. The skin immense blood supply helps regulate temperature, dilate vessels, allow the heat loss, while constrict vessels retain heat. The skin regulate body temperature with its blood supply. So this is the structures of vasodilatations and vasoconstrictions. Normal artery, vasodilation artery, vasoconstrictions artery. Now, heat productions. The most active organs produce the most heat. The principal organs involved are as follows: the muscles. Contractions of skeletal muscles produce a large amount of heat, and the more strenuous muscles exercise, greater the heat produced. The liver is the metabolically active. Heat is produced as a byproduct. The digestive organs produce heat during peristalsis and during chemical reactions involved in digestion. Heat loss. Most heat loss from the body occurs through the skin. Small amount are lost in expired air, urine, and feces. Control of body temperature. Nervous control. Temperature regulations center in hypothalamus is resolved to temperature of circulating blood. Formations of vitamin D. 7-dehydrocholesterol is a lipid based substance in the skin, and ultraviolet light from the sun converts into the vitamin D. This circulates in the blood and is used with calcium and phosphate in the formation and maintenance of bone. Excretions. The skin is a major excretory organ for some substance including sodium chloride in sweat. Excess sweating may lead to a low blood sodium level. Urea, especially when kidney function is impaired. Function of skin. Sensation. Sensory receptors consist of nerve ending. The dermis that are sensitive to touch, pressure, temperature, of pain. Stimulate, generate nerve impulses in sensory nerves that are transmitted to the cerebral cortex. Absorption. This property is limited, but substances that can be absorbed include some drugs in transdermal patches, example hormone used as a replacement therapy in postmenopausal women, nicotine as a aid to stopping smoking, some toxic chemical, for example mercury. Thank you. Please like and subscribe my channel.